RedHawk fans, it is almost time for week two, and they'll play the second consecutive Big Ten opponent this week, this time heading to New Jersey to take on the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. I'm glad to be joined by Sean Newcomb. Sean, thank you so much for spending time out of your busy schedule to talk to me today. How have you been? How's the season gone so far?
Yeah, no, I'm good. School's back, football's back. It's just nice to have sports back. We got as the day we're recording this, we got Thursday night football, NFL back, but I'm good. I think Rutgers fans were a little nervous after last week. Of course, I think Miami fans are very familiar with Ohio MAC championship game there. So it's by coincidence, Rutgers does play the MAC champions and then the runner-ups back to back. But it was a 3-point win, and it was a scary win. It was a game that Rutgers had a 17-point lead in and saw it dwindle away near the end, and it took a 4th and 7 conversion with 2 minutes left to really seal the deal. But I mean, it got scary there.
Yeah, it's a game that I'm sure plenty of Miami fans saw because it was on Big Ten Network right before the game against Wisconsin started. So just going and revisiting the game last Thursday, 34 to 31 win for you guys over OU. And as you mentioned, up by as many as 31 to 14 late in the third quarter. I mean, you get the win, so you have to be excited about that. But what's the general feeling that you get around the team and in the fan base?
Yeah, so the fan base, I think they underestimated Ohio. I think everyone who's kind of in that inner circle knew this is an 11-win team. Like this Parker Navarro's that guy. He's a good quarterback. I mean, and Rutgers fans saw it. I personally didn't expect a massive win. I thought it would be more than 3 points and kind of down to the wire. But the feel around campus is it's kind of, I don't know if you know, Rutgers has not been ranked in the AP poll since 2012. It's by far the most. I think the second is West Virginia. It's since 2019, so a 7-year difference there. Rutgers fans just want to get over the hump. And this game was a little disappointing. You always want the win. You always want to go 1-0. You get late in the season, you don't even remember how that game went. You just see the W. But fans were excited with the offense. I'll say that. I was excited with the offense. The defense, different story. But it was kind of mixed feelings.
It's 2012. It's been that long. That seems
Yeah, I
great.
mean, it's bad.
I gotta be honest. I'm from Cincinnati, so I still remember like Rutgers in the Big East when they were playing
Yep.
UC, and I'm yeah, those were some really good teams back then. Seems like not that long ago,
Yeah.
but I guess it's further than I remembered. So starting with the offense and the quarterback Ethan Kaliakmanis, second season with Rutgers, previously was at Minnesota, and Sean, I really get the sense he just keeps getting better and better the more football he plays. Played pretty good last week, 18 for 23, over 250 yards. How would you assess his performance so far this season and his time with Rutgers, and what do you think's a fair expectation for him this season?
Yeah, so it's not a very hard bar, but he's easily been the best Rutgers quarterback in the last decade. And he has improved each year. And I think you just look at his career in general. I think you kind of expect him to improve when he's been with Kirk Ciarrocca, the offensive coordinator, dating back to Minnesota in 2022. So this is now their third year together. I think you expect that fluidity on offense. He played a good game, right? Only 5 incompletions, and he did have one bad throw that he missed, but that was really it. He looked good, and he's a very good game manager, and I mean that as a compliment. Not everybody has to be Lamar Jackson, the Josh Allen, the Joe Burrow, Mahomes, right? You can be a Jared Goff and win some games. And I
Yeah,
think that's what he
absolutely.
is. And he's not super mobile, but he's going to get the job done. He's going to make the accurate throws. He's had some problems with completion percentage in his career. But in this first game, I mean, really did look stellar.
Where would you put him as far as like the hierarchy in the Big Ten quarterback was?
Yeah, that's tough. I think he's middle of the pack because I mean there's some dogs in the Big Ten and there's also some below average quarterbacks, but
Yeah.
I think and I never have a problem when someone has them as high as say 6 or as low as like 12. I think that's a fair range to put them anywhere in the middle. I really don't have a problem with.
Yeah, I feel like the middle class of the Big Ten quarterback wise, you could have a really far range. I feel like the quarterbacks and teams in general, at least the past few years. A couple of running backs really stood out for the Knights last week, and Antoine Raymond and CJ Campbell combined for 158 yards. It was a pretty even backfield split wise, Raymond with 14 carries and Campbell with 11. Do you expect the backfield to remain kind of that split carry setup?
Yeah, so heading into the year, Rutgers, for those who don't know, lost Kyle Monangai, who was second all time in rushing yards and now got drafted by the Bears. I mean, he was just a do-it-all back. He's getting 80% of the snaps. You come into this year, you know you don't have Kyle Monangai, but I think, especially in a running back room, you can replace that by running back by committee. You might get the same amount of yards, it might just not all come from one player. So I do think it's going to continue to be this split back. Antoine Raymond was projected to be the lead if there really was a lead running back there. CJ Campbell, FAU transfer, he's a great pass catcher. I don't think we're going to see him catch a lot of balls because that's just not how Rutgers plays offensively. And then Jay Benjamin, I am a little surprised he only had 3 carries, but the way the game was going, it's how the cards were dealt.
So just like in the offense in general coming into week two, is a really good performance for you guys last week. Who are you like paying closest attention to this week, or what are you most excited to see in this game on Saturday?
I'm excited to see how DT Sheffield does again because he is a transfer coming from North Texas. I mean, this guy has very fast speed. I mean, he can move all over the place. He's like a human joystick out there. He had a 53-yard touchdown, a 54-yard touchdown catch, was on a busted coverage. So that's the player I kind of want to see. Can he do it again? Can he? Because he had 85 yards and he had a good game. He looked exciting. Rutgers fans have kind of missed a very good wide receiver room for quite some time. And I think they have that this year.
So moving on to the defense, as good as the offense played, the defense not so much probably. Gave up 440 total yards, over 200 rushing and passing. Was that a surprising result to you? Because usually when I think of a Greg Schiano coach team, I actually think of like a really, really tough defense, and that doesn't happen often. So I was kind of surprised seeing that. Were you as surprised as I was?
I was surprised, especially against this Ohio team, because Ohio last year, they won their games because of their defense. I mean, they were top 10 defense in a bunch of metrics. The offense, not so much. I was a little afraid of Park Navarro. I mean, it's going to be obvious they're going to run the read option the whole game. So that's what I was surprised about, is that how successful it was when you know that's what Ohio's going to march in and do. But like you said, Greg Schiano, you think of Greg Schiano, you think of defense. You think of special teams and defense, 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 defense. I can't emphasize it enough. Last year, the whole season, it was real. The defense was just mediocre, and the offense is really what won them games. And it's continuing to this year. So maybe it's a shift in momentum in that aspect. But I was surprised to see the defense struggle because no disrespect to Ohio. I mean, you're playing Ohio State, you're playing Penn State, you're playing Oregon, you're playing Illinois, you're playing all these top preseason 12 teams this season. If you're struggling with Ohio, I have concern going forward.
And another mobile quarterback test this week for the Rutgers defense. Has there been more of like an emphasis that you've gotten from the coaching staff or the players facing DeQuan Finn?
Yeah, obviously very experienced player in college football, seventh year. He's been all around the MAC, it seems like. That's my concern because I know he can be mobile. I know he struggled a little bit passing, and the offense just struggled for Miami against Wisconsin. I mean, Wisconsin's a Big Ten defense. They're a tough team. They're a heavy team to play against. I mean, that's just how those games go against those old Big Ten West teams it is now. But I think the vibe is Miami fans may not like it, but it's kind of like a get right game. And now I'm not saying that's no disrespect to Miami. I'm saying mentally, it's like that game was too close for our liking. There might be a little extra energy coming into this one. That's what I meant by that.
No, I definitely understand what you're saying there. One player I want to talk about who was not out there last week, won't be out there the whole season, defensive tackle Doug Blue Eli, transfer from South Florida. It sounded like it was a pretty significant loss for you guys. How big of a factor do you think that played in the way the defense looked last week?
Yeah, it's tough because you look at the injury report, it looked like a late season injury report for Rutgers. I mean, there were 10 plus players on it. I do think it plays an impact because Rutgers didn't have a single sack. Now he's going to play more nose tackle role, defensive, stopping the run role. How much of a factor would he have played against Ohio? I think a good factor, and I think that's a loss for the season. It's next man up mentality, but I was disappointed in the defensive line. You have Eric O'Neal, who was top 10 in sacks in the nation. You have Bradley Weaver, who led Ohio in sacks last season. This was a revenge game for him last week. Nobody showed up, 0 sacks. Now, can I attribute that to the defensive line not playing well or Parker Navarro just escaping everything it seemed like he did last week? So that's the question. Like you said, you're playing Finn, you're playing another mobile quarterback. You're going to play mobile quarterbacks. You're going to have to get to the quarterback. You're going to have to sack him, finish the play. Pressures can only get you so far. Sacks will count. And yeah, I think it does play a factor.
All right, last question for you, Sean. Didn't want to keep you for too long. What are some of the biggest keys that you're looking for in this game, biggest X factors for Rutgers this week?
Yeah, the defense, it's got to be the defense. I have to go to the defense because I have faith that the offense is going to continue like this. There's not a lot of moving pieces on the offense. If anything, there's pieces brought in that are actually positives. The defense, it's a whole new defensive line. You got a young secondary. So I would just like to see to hold Miami under 20. I think that would be successful. I think you look at the Wisconsin game, I think that's doable. Personally, I would like to see the Scarlet Knights win by 20 points. I don't know how possible that is because the defense plays like it did last week. It's gonna be a close game again.
Yeah, absolutely. We will see what happens on Saturday. 3:30 kick. You could find it on Peacock, so I might have to pay up to watch that. Sean, thank you so much for joining me today. Shout yourself out. Where could we find you? Where could we listen to you and all that?
Yeah, so I work at WRSU Sports. You can find me at WRSU.org online because Oxford, Ohio, you don't get the New Brunswick radio waves over there. But and I
Not
also write
quite.
for the Daily Targum, and you can check my Twitter out, Sean Newcomb _.
All right, Sean, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.